Here in South Napa once again, just on the other side of the hill from my place. Just enjoying the day. I spoke to a nice gentleman. His family owns the property behind me, and his family has lived here since 1903. He was an older man. It was nice to speak with him. Asked him some questions about what he knew about Napa Valley and the inhabitants, the builders, the masons, the populations, whatever. Didn't really understand or know anything. So I spoke to him a little bit about the Napa Asylum being part of the Kirkbride hospital system. A lot of people never heard of this. So the Kirkbride system was a series of asylums that were built under the Kirkbride name throughout the United States in the late 1800s. And they were castles, absolutely castles. And the reason you can say that is if you look at them, they're massive. So the one in Napa, which is just over on the hillside there, was a 10 million brick build in 1878. The population of Napa, all of the county combined, was 10,000. And there were a number of projects that were happening simultaneously in Napa Valley and in Solano County to the south. And Sonoma, and this is the old route before the highway called the Golden Gate Drive, and it's on quite an extensive earthwork that goes over to Sonoma. So there were construction projects of large magnitudes happening throughout both areas. So Sonoma, Noverly was a Sonoma Developmental Center, which was on the same magnitude and size of the Napa Castle. And in Solano, just about 10 miles south, there's Mare Island, and this has some of the most impressive, long-lasting, earthquake-proof brick buildings you'll ever see. So back to Napa, we're over behind this hill, and they need an asylum in Napa apparently in 1878, and this is going to be a 10 million brick build, which is the equivalent of 20,000 pallets of bricks. And if you know anything about brickwork, it's not just bricks. It's sand, it's cement, lime, possibly fire clay, and you're going to need scaffolding, which is made of milled lumber, and all the things associated with that. Plus, you have to get all the materials to the property, and this is quite a bit further back in the day. It's really noteworthy. There's no construction photos of any of the projects I've spoke of. Not a one. There's no buildings that have red bricks under construction. So the Napa Asylum, built in 1878, built in 2 years, and ready to accept nearly 10% of the county's current population. They filled the hospital with insane people immediately. So simultaneously in Napa, in the downtown sector, things that are still available to be seen, there's the courthouse. And then there's some stone building across the way. There's a number of old bridges that were happening at the same time. Continue up the valley into Yountville. You have vintage 1871 and the Yountville Vets Home, which from the highway is as big as any U.S. Capitol building. And it has quite an embarcadero and quite a large number of bricks, plus an interesting Civil War cemetery with probably a 20-foot granite obelisk. Amazing. Then you go further up the valley into St. Helena, and then you discover that there's a tremendous amount of brickwork, stonework, castles. There's the Greystone Culinary Institute of America Academy, which is a castle with hewn long-distance wine caves. Currently, with machinery, you're good for about 15 feet per day in a wine cave. Then you continue up the valley, and there's the Castillo de Amorosa, which has 4 levels of brick-lined, hewn wine caves underground. Amazing. Then there's Calistoga, which, if you look at the maps, you can actually find where the actual end of the rail line continued on into Calistoga. So I've been enjoying history of Napa and learning about all the different things, going to the places, still seeing all the eucalyptus trees everywhere. Right up this hill, straight line, very old. Always straight lines, right across the wetlands from Highway 29, which is taking you right back over to yesterday's tour over in the Napa Pipe. Shipyard, construction yard, dry docks, all the various things are right across the river. It's interesting, a lot of people, they just don't know about the history of their own personal town, the things they drive by, they see the things. A lot of people just don't have a background in construction and don't understand how much manpower is actually involved. And that's one part of the puzzle that I left out. So you can imagine the hospital, Kirkbride, 10 million brick, everything, sculptures, pillars, columns, spires, the thing's 7 stories tall. There's a giant wall all around it, incredible. So where do these people live? How do they get to work? Who feeds them? Who cleans their clothing? And all the things that are associated with having a normal work day. And Napa gets some weird weather, so they were able to pull off the 2-year build without consideration for the weather and what that would mean for transporting the things that they need. And it's said that a typical loaded wagon in the 1800s delivering materials for some sort of a project or whatever was good for 12 miles per day. So you'd have to have a lot of teams bringing in the materials. Logistics is what we're talking about. Some of the granite, the white granite that you see, White Sierra granite, common everywhere. It's involved in all of the projects that I had mentioned in all the various counties, also in your county. But from here, the nearest quarry is 185 miles. And a lot of these stones are simply too large to be put in the bed of my truck. That would not work. Maybe a giant trailer, maybe. But some of these stones, they start going north of 10,000 pounds really quickly. And they're all perfectly machine cut, square, 90-degree edges, all kinds of routing. So what are we seeing? It cannot be denied, by the way, because all you have to do is take a tour down through your old town and start thinking about, well, this apartment building that they're working on over here, which is made of wood and garbage, and no one expects it to last more than 20 years. This is taking 3 years in today's world. And this Costco that's going to go in all the way across. Let's have a look at the long shot. All the way across the waters. And this is the site of Napa's future Costco. And apparently a lot of residences and a lot of construction. And they've been trying to get this thing off the ground for about 15 years. And the foreman said that they might be ready in 3 years. So 10 million brick, massive castle, 2 years. Costco, after 15 years of delays, maybe 3 years. So things to think about. And of course, on this skyline of hills, with a good zoom or a good lens, good set of binoculars, using Google map feature, terrain feature, there's a lot of things here that don't make sense. And I would bet that there's nothing but the same in your very area. Your area too. So have a nice evening. I am doing that. Looking forward to a nice rehearsal tonight. Weather's fantastic. Hopefully the wind wasn't terrible. And bye-bye.